Hey, what's going on, guys? This is AndrewChicken, and welcome back to another video. Today, I want to talk about Overwatch's new game mode, and that is Stadium, which is a mode that brings more hero customization than we've ever seen before in Overwatch, and in many ways, it resembles some of the loadout customization that we had in Paladins, which is the longtime competitor to Overwatch 2 that sadly got put into maintenance mode earlier this year. As you guys know, I used to be a Paladins YouTuber for a very long time, before, well, the February 6th incident where everyone got laid off, and it's very sad. And a lot of people have asked me for games that would be worth moving towards as Paladins lays on its deathbed, as it shrinks in popularity even more, to the point where matches just aren't fun anymore. Obviously, I have personally moved to Deadlock, that's why you've seen so much Deadlock content on the channel recently, but Overwatch 2 presents another interesting option here with the Stadium game mode. And so I want to talk about it today, give my thoughts as someone who played a lot of Paladins as to whether this is actually any good or not. And so far, I gotta say, I have actually really enjoyed it. So first of all, before I give you my thoughts and critiques about the mode, we should explain what the mode actually is. And this is a permanent mode, by the way. It's not a limited time thing. This is here to stay, just like the perk system that we investigated earlier this year. So basically, Stadium is a sort of 7-round gauntlet where the first team to win 4 rounds wins. And it alternates back and forth between different game modes like push, objective capturing, stuff like that. And at the start of every round, you are able to buy some items that affect your character in powerful ways. So we have this build menu here, and there are a bunch of items, actually more items than there are in Paladins, but a lot of them are generic ones that are kind of shared between characters. So you can kind of think of a lot of these items as like your generic health cards and cooldown cards and stuff like that that you would find on characters in Paladins. So a lot of these here are generic. We have like weapon power, which increases the damage we deal, lifesteal, attack speed, max ammo buff. We actually have this, which is kind of like lethality. We get attack speed and movement speed for 3 seconds after an elimination, and we can upgrade these later on into more powerful variants. There are also some hero-specific items that you can buy. For example, Soldier 76 here has an item called Pulse Converter that allows him to restore ammo when using Helix Rockets. And there's a bunch of other abilities too, and some of the items here are actually pretty original and unique and really playstyle defining. For example, you can rocket jump with Soldier 76, you can buy bomb defusal boots, get 90% reduced self-damage from the Helix Rocket, as well as some health and some weapon power, and then when you knock yourself back with the Helix Rocket, you go 200% farther. So you can use that to kind of jump around, and it's a pretty neat idea, honestly. So you can use that to sort of jump around and get up to some high grounds that you might not have been able to access previously. Or you could become a healer if you want. Battery Pack gives you biotic field duration. You can grab a rapid response radius and get a large radius on the field, as well as healing allies below 50% life 10% more. So that's another fun way you can play Soldier. And then there are also these powers, and you get these progressively as the match goes on, basically every alternating round. So you get one at the start, then you don't get one in round 2, but then in round 3, you get to unlock the second one, and then you get your third one at round 5, fourth one at round 7. And these provide even more playstyle changes. There's 12 of them to choose from per hero, and they really do define your playstyle in various ways. For example, you can turn your biotic field into a damage-dealing tool. Enemies within your biotic field take damage equal to 100% of its healing outputs, and then you can attach that to yourself with the On Me power to have Biotic Field move with you and grant you 20% increased max life while active. And there are a whole bunch of other abilities here, like Helix Rocket firing a second homing rocket that deals reduced damage. So really a lot of customizations options here. I would say that the weapon, ability, and survival items here are more akin to cards and items in Paladins, whereas the powers here are more akin to talents. It's a different system, not quite the same, but it does offer very similar levels of customization. As a matter of fact, if you recall back to some of the talents that Paladins actually has, in some ways this offers more loadout customization, because some talents are just kind of useless or vanilla in ways that don't really change the character's playstyle. Just look at this nonsense. We can jump into the air, fly, while holding our shield up, and launch nuke-sized fire strikes. And also, by the way, check this out. If I ult, then for the next 4 seconds, I launch a fire strike with every single one of my hammer swings. It's actually so cool. Like, genuinely. I have been very critical of Overwatch over the past few years for a lot of different things. Most notably, the fact that the whole PvE debacle was really just awful, you know? Overwatch 2 was expected to have this grand PvE campaign that never came to fruition, and we can still be critical of Overwatch for withholding this hero customization for so long, because this was the customization that we were promised with the PvE going back. Has it been 3 years already? It's been years. So yeah, we can certainly still be critical of Overwatch for many things, but this is genuinely cool. Like, this is genuinely awesome. It's the type of hero customization and loadout customization that Paladins offered for so long. That was like the big selling point of the game that differentiated it from Overwatch. And now Overwatch has it, and they've implemented it in a really fun manner. But now let's talk a little bit about the mode. So you start out with a base amount of cash. That's the currency. It's not called anything fancy. Not credits, not souls, not gold or anything. No, it's just cash. I feel like they could have come up with a more creative name for that, but I digress. It doesn't really matter. The point is, you start out with a base amount of cash, you're able to buy about 3 items, and you're able to get your first power online, which is already a pretty nice way to sort of get your loadout rolling. And then, as you kill enemies, as you deal damage, as you progress throughout the match, you get additional cash based on your performance. So if you do poorly, you're going to get less cash than someone who's carrying. So it's important that you actually give it your all and try to really push back the enemies and take that objective, because you will get rewarded with more cash and you'll be able to augment your playstyle even more. The pacing does feel pretty good in terms of how often you're able to get new impactful items online. It feels like every round you're able to get enough cash to, at the very least, sell one of your items and buy an upgraded version of it. Which, by the way, you do get 100% cash back for selling items. So you can sell an item out of one of your 6 limited slots, you get the full cash back, and then you can upgrade to something later on. So that is a very nice feature. It allows you to customize without really feeling penalized. I'm a big fan of that. And a lot of the characters do have really cool options that change their playstyle pretty drastically. We're not just talking about small stat changes, we're talking about fundamental mechanical changes, like we saw with Reinhardt there, and like this with Mei. You can roll around, be this giant ice block, and I do feel like that skill is a little bit underwhelming. I feel like it could do a little bit more damage. The balance isn't perfect, but I mean, it's the initial rollout of this mode, so that's not super surprising. But some characters are definitely played more than others. I've played probably about 5 hours of the mode at this point, on stream and off stream, and I have yet to see a single person play Orisa. Literally, I've seen every other tank. I have not seen Orisa. Orisa's just non-existent in this game mode. I don't know why. People just aren't playing her. It seems like her skills just might not be that interesting. But, yeah, there is also... we can start talking about some of the criticisms I have of this mode. There's not very many characters. As you can see on the screen here, this is it. These are all the characters that are in the mode as of right now. And we know that Blizzard is going to be working on this and adding more characters to the Stadium mode in the future. So if you're annoyed by some of the characters, let's say you really hate playing against Genji, and Genji's in every single match because he's really popular, then you might want to wait to play this game mode until more characters are added, and so the amount of times you see just one character over and over again will hopefully decrease. And also, if you happen to be someone who doesn't like any of the heroes here, let's say you're a Sombra main, I like Sombra too, I'm sad she's not here, then you also might want to wait to play this mode until they actually add your favorite character. It's a bit unfortunate, but the characters that they did add have a lot of good playstyle diversity, and so if they keep adding characters over time and maintain the same level of quality in terms of how their abilities are affected by these items, then I'd say at the end of the day, it's still an absolute win. Another thing that I would like to criticize this mode for is not being able to pre-build your loadouts. They have example builds here, which give you some upgrades here, your power upgrades, and some suggested item upgrades, and that's great. It's a good starting point to help you dip your toes into the mode. I use default builds for my first few matches before diversifying and deciding to just buy from the item store directly. But you're not allowed to save an upgrade order. So if you want to make a specific build, you're going to have to like write it down on a pen and paper and then just go based off that, or just commit it to memory. That quality of life functionality is completely missing. And another thing that I really wish they would add to this mode is the ability to finally see our damage numbers and our other numbers in the ability descriptions, and also see how these actual buffs impact our numbers directly. They actually do a pretty good job of showing all of the stats and what they do. For example, we hover over weapon power here. You can see it increases the damage and healing of your weapon, and you can check your hero information screen to learn more about your weapon. But then if you go there, oh, here's the hero info screen. There's nothing here. There's no advanced descriptions. There's just no numbers. I have no idea. Like, if I upgrade my weapon damage by 50%, how much damage am I doing on my weapon now? What does the number go up to? Is it actually buffing it by 50%, or is the 50% translating over to something else? It's all very nebulous, and I wish that they would just finally say, hey, okay, let's add these numbers, let's put them into the game once and for all, so people can stop going to wiki pages outside of the actual game for this information. And also having the ability to toggle on damage numbers would be another great thing. You know, damage numbers that actually appear when you shoot the enemies, and healing numbers as well. That's the thing that is very nice about Paladins, and it's also very nice about Deadlock. Games that have this type of customization, I feel like, need the damage numbers much more than, you know, Overwatch from back in 2016. That was a much simpler game in terms of, you know, the customization. So, I would highly implore the Blizzard devs to look into adding that, especially because, you know, nerds like me, we need to see the numbers, and without the numbers, it just feels significantly worse to play the game. And we know that they can add these settings to turn on and off features that some people like, but others find distracting, because in the Stadium game mode, you can actually go into third-person mode, which I know there are some very specific Paladins players who will be super excited to hear about that, because Paladins had a third-person mode for a while back in like 2017. I think it was in 2018 too before they removed it. And yeah, a lot of people were sad when that got removed, but Overwatch actually has it here now, in the Stadium mode specifically. It's not in regular Overwatch, just in Stadium. So yeah, you can play with this perspective if you want. I do find it to be a little bit jarring on some characters compared to others, especially because Overwatch is a very hectic game. But yeah, this is an option that you can do, and I'm absolutely happy to see it, because, you know, the more fun options to let people play the game how they want to play the game there are, the better. I think this is just an absolute win, even though I don't use it personally. I think it's pretty great that they added this. Huh, actually, maybe I should play in third person more. Wait a second. So yeah, to kind of recap, the customization is absolutely fantastic. I feel like they really nailed the pacing. This Bob Jr. skill just cracks me up. It's so funny. But yeah, I feel like they really nailed the pacing of how you unlock the items. I feel like most of the items are pretty darn impactful, especially the ones that are character-specific. I find myself buying a lot of those because they are pretty cool. And yeah, honestly, the actual gameplay itself is fantastic. There are still some critiques I have, such as not being able to save preset loadouts, and not being able to see truly how your numbers are affected, because damage numbers are hidden in this game for some reason. There is one more thing I'd like to talk about, though, and that is the simple fact that this is still, at the end of the day, Overwatch. It's not going to feel quite like Paladins. There are very distinct differences in terms of how the gameplay feels. For one thing, Overwatch has this instant strafing, which, if you've followed my Overwatch content over the years, you know that's probably the biggest thing I hate about this game, is the fact that you can instant strafe left to right, you can crouch instantly, makes your character insanely hard to hit, especially if you're trying to play a hit scan, precise like Ashe, trying to nail them, and they're just strafing like that. It's really stressful. Aiming in this game is more stressful than any other game that I have ever played. And that still exists in this game mode. On top of that, the time to kill is significantly faster in Overwatch than it is in Paladins. They have made strides to actually raise the time to kill in Overwatch over the past few years. You'll notice that every character now has way more health than they did a few years ago. So that is nice, and it is definitely noticeable, but it is still a stark difference between Paladins and Overwatch. And obviously Overwatch still doesn't have the same characters that Paladins does. Many of the awesome characters like Vora, Bomb King, Eevee, Makoa, they just don't exist in this game. And you can't really find those characters anywhere else. So, in that sense, Overwatch can never be a true replacement for Paladins. There are definitely all these gameplay feel things that hurt to the game mode if you're trying to come over from Paladins. You're just gonna find yourself missing some of that, and that's not really Blizzard's fault. I mean, at the end of the day, their game is different from Paladins, and that's kind of the point. It's a good thing. We don't want games to be clones of each other. So, if you do find those issues to be a hindrance, right, you really just can't get past this crazy strafing pattern. Oh my god, it's crazy. You can't get past that faster time to kill, the one-shots, the two-shots. Then yeah, this game mode probably won't ever feel as satisfying to you as Paladins did. But I still gotta give Blizzard props because the customization is fantastic, and if you are really looking for something with Paladin's level of customization in a hero shooter experience that is more akin to a classic hero shooter rather than something that is more MOBA-esque like Deadlock, then I actually would give this mode a try. I have definitely had my fair share of fun in this mode, my fair share of frustration too, because it is Overwatch, you know? But, yeah, it's worth a shot at the end of the day. That's just my honest review. So yeah, let me know what you think about the Overwatch Stadium mode in the comments section down below. What's your favorite skill combination? Yeah, this is just... it's just oh, Bob Jr. is amazing, dude. I love it. I haven't used it in a real match yet, but my god, that is beautiful. And yeah, drop a like on this video if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new around here. I'm not sure if I'll be making any more content on this mode. I mean, I might stream it again. I don't really think I'm going to be making videos about it, but if you want to see me stream it again, then also comment that down below too. But yeah, with all that being said, thank you guys for watching. I will see you all next time. Peace out.